Salwete. The purpose of these videos is to walk you through Lab 3 and Lab 4, and also to serve as an Excel reference for your future labs and eventually for your internal assessment. If you're working at home on a family computer, yours might look a little different if you have a Mac or if you have a different version of Excel. I'm doing this on the school computer, the black Lenovo ThinkPads, and those are available during office hours if you want to use them. So the first thing that we need to do is to download the Finch data. So your teacher probably posted it to Classroom. You need to download it as an Excel file. We have to work in Excel, not in Google Sheets, because the specific kind of error bars that we need, Google Sheets doesn't have that functionality. So we download it as Microsoft Excel. You can open it up. And then I want you to notice that we can change our window by zooming out. There's a lot of data here. It's 25 years of data. So if it helps you, you can zoom out and see it all at once. I'm going to zoom in a bit. The instruction in your lab manual says to add 2 rows for mean and standard deviation. If I try to type right now, nothing's going to happen because I have to go here and I have to enable editing. Okay, here we go. So now I can type mean, and below it I can type standard deviation, or SD. So we're going to use Excel to calculate these values for us. This is called the formula bar. When I type an equal sign, I'm telling Excel the next thing I type is a formula. So there's many preset formulas that Excel already knows. So I type the word average, then I need an open parenthesis. This popped up here. This is prompting me to select the cells that I want Excel to average. So I'm going to highlight this entire row because I want all the values for that year. Close the parentheses, hit enter, and there we have the mean beak depth for 1974. For standard deviation, I'm going to use a different formula. So STDEV.S, open parenthesis, and then a tip for highlighting multiple cells is you just click the first cell, hold the shift key, and click the last cell. Close the parentheses, hit enter, and now I happily have the standard deviation for that year. That's a lot of decimal places, so one thing you can do is you can use this. I also want to point out that you should not use these videos as a template for making your data tables, because there are things in good data tables that I'm not necessarily going to represent with this video. So for example, if you just pasted this whole thing into your lab report, you would be missing a title, you would be missing units. For your final lab report, all your data should be recorded at the same place value. So don't take this as a reference for data tables, it's a reference for using Excel to create graphs. Okay, we could repeat the process 25 times, but you probably can predict that that's not what we're going to do. We're going to use the power of Excel. So I need to click this box, and I want you to notice that there's a few different kinds of crosses that can appear. What we want is this one that appears when we move towards the lower right corner of the cell. So when I make that cross, I can hold down and drag that formula into the neighboring cells. So what I told Excel to do was not to copy the value, but to copy the formula. So in this box, I calculated the average for this column. In this box, it was the average for this column, and so on. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit because there's so much data here. I need that same cross, and I can just happily drag this all the way to 2000. Great, we have values there. We're going to do the same thing for standard deviation. There's the cross we want, all the way to 2000. I'm going to zoom in and just make sure it looks right. Okay, it looks good. Tune in for the next video for how to create the process data table and the graph.